Welcome back to Threes In. Bobo's here. So last year I had the opportunity to attend the 560th Flying Training Squadron POW Dining In. As a matter of fact, it was the 50th anniversary of the dining ins we held for their release. And one of the guest speakers at a function we had there was Colonel Joseph Hoss Milligan. And he told this story, and I was just so impressed with it. And always kind of held it in the back of my mind, but I wasn't quite sure the details of all of them as I perhaps remembered them. Then I heard that he was there this year and told another story that it's just so darn good. So I reached out to him here about a month ago and asked him if I could share them here on this channel, and he graciously agreed. So these are his words, and I hope not to butcher them too bad. I'm going to read them just from what he sent to me. And to give you just a quick background on Colonel Milligan, he was shot down on the 20th of May, 1967, and subsequently released 18 February, 1973. He was then given a freedom flight in early 80s with Colonel Lee Ellis. Colonel Ellis was also a freedom flyer. So, without much more delay, this is his story. It's entitled My Skippy Peanut Butter Story by Joe Milligan. Amongst the horror and agony of the POW experience in North Vietnam, there was the occasional feel-good moment, such as this heartwarming story. One day during captivity, February 14th, 1970, a guard came to my cell and gave me the wrist chop signal, indicating I had to wear my long-sleeve striped prisoner pajama tops and pants. This meant I was destined for a dreaded interrogation session. Naturally, I was in fear it was going to be something bad. It usually was. When I got to the interrogation room, the interrogator, who spoke good English, surprisingly asked if I knew the date. I replied it was February 14th. He then asked if I knew of the great significance that February 14th had in America. I said yes, it was Valentine's Day. The interrogator, again surprisingly, informed me that in honor of the great American holiday, he would allow me to write a letter to my wife or sweetheart. Note, at this point in time, I had been a captive for almost 3 years and had never been given a chance to write or receive a letter from home. In fact, unbeknownst to me at the time, my parents still did not know if I was dead or alive. I was not married, but I was not about to pass up this opportunity. So with a bit of quick thinking, I told the interrogator, as you know, I don't have a wife, but I do have a sweetheart. The interrogator said to give him her name and address, and he'd let me write her something. I told him my sweetheart's name was P. N. Butter, but I always called her by her nickname, Skippy. As a New Jersey farm boy who always had a jar of Skippy peanut butter on the kitchen table, I somehow remembered Skippy's address, Englewood Cliffs, New Jersey. I was given the paper to write a 6-line letter suitably addressed to Skippy P.N. Butter, Englewood Cliffs, New Jersey. The letter started out, Dear Skippy, I love you very much, and I miss you very much. I told her how I had fond memories of our days dining together at the Ritz. I told Skippy, I hope we can once again share that experience together someday. I never knew if the letter went out or not. However, once the POWs started receiving sporadic packages from home, every package I received from my parents, about 6 during the last 3 years of captivity, contained a jar of Skippy peanut butter and a box of Ritz crackers. You can't imagine the powerful effect that unscrewing the lid on each jar of Skippy had on me. Each jar of Skippy interjected fond memories of home into a life of pain, misery, and despair, which were the bane of existence for a POW in Hanoi. It also awakened and kicked into gear some long neglected taste buds in my mouth. But most importantly, each jar of Skippy represented a long-distance connection between heart and home that simply can't be described. After Operation Homecoming in 1973, I went back home to the family farm in New Jersey to visit with my parents. I asked my mother if she had ever saw that letter to Skippy. She replied, "No, I don't know anything about that, but the damnedest thing happened." She then related a story about one day while sitting on her rocking chair on the farmhouse porch and shelling a basket of green beans, a big black government car drove up the farm lane. Two men in black suits and ties and wearing dark sunglasses got out of the car and approached the porch and asked if she was Mrs. Milligan. She avowed she was. They told her that from that day forward, whenever you send a package to your son Joe in Hanoi, you must include a jar of Skippy peanut butter and a box of Ritz crackers. The identified government men did not explain. They just got back in their car and drove away. Sounds like a scene from a spy movie. Mom told me I didn't know what the hell they were talking about, but I did what they said. But apparently my letter got through. I've always felt I won a battle in the long war. You can see from Colonel Milligan's story here, from Haas's story here, just how precious these little moments were. And these stories are just too darn good not to be shared. When he replied to me and sent copies of two stories here, the second which I'll share with you here in a week or so, he told me he's working on a book. Well, you best bet I will be promoting his book. I just admire these guys so much, and it truly is an honor to be given the opportunity to share these stories with you folks. So with that being said, this is Bobo, Base Gear, Stop.